Asahena el Harim, Mehahina Yavohezari, Azarimahim Adonai, Os Shamayim Vaharetz, Al Yiten Lamohot Ragalecha, Al Yanom Shamrecha, Hinei Lo Yanom Velo Yishan, Shomer Yisrael, Adonai Shomerecha, Adonai Yitzilcha, Aliyah Tiyaminecha, Yomam Hashem Shlo Yakekam, Veyareach Balayla, Adonai Shmorecha Mikol Ra, Yishmoret Nafshecha, Adonai Shmoret Zetcha Ovahecha, Mayata Vehada Olam.
We gather together today as the dear family and friends of Sylvia Heller. As we mourn her loss, we must also celebrate the full, rich life she led. Death has taken our beloved Sylvia. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For her love that united us in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship which we shared along life's path and which still continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and her mind which brought us joy and happiness and now become a precious heritage of the Spirit. For all these and more, God, we give you our praise. In his sorrow, Job cried out, Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. God has given, God has taken away. Blessed be the name of God. An ancient people were well acquainted with grief and with the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us. Yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave, and there is strength in faith. With Job we say, Adonai Natan, God you have given. You gave us a loved one who will not be forgotten. For all was good and enduring in her life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. Proverbs 31. Eshet chayil mi yimsa, v'rachok mipni mikra. A woman of valor who can find. She's more precious than fine pearls. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks nothing. She does him good, never harm, all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her. Her family sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. A poem entitled, My Hereafter. Do not come when I am dead to sit beside a low green mound or bring the first daffodils, because I love them so. For I shall not be there. You cannot find me there. I will look up at you from the eyes of little children. I will bend to meet you in the swaying boughs of bud-thrilled trees and caress you with the passionate sweep of storm-filled winds. I will give you strength in your upward tread of everlasting hills. I will cool your tired body in the flow of the river. I will warm your work-glorified hands through the glow of the winter fire. I will soothe you into forgetfulness to the drop, drop of the rain on the roof. I will speak to you out of the rhymes of the masters. I will dance with you in the lilt of the violin and make your heart leap with the bursting cadence of the organ. I will flood your soul with the flaming radiance of the sunrise and bring you peace in the tender rose and gold of the after sunset. All these have made me happy. They are part of me, and I shall become a part of them. Adonai ro'i lo echsar, bina desha yar bitzeni, amei minachot yanachaleni. Please join me now in the familiar words of the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters, and restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The Baal Shem Tov, the Hasidic Rebbe, once observed that there are 3 ways to mourn. The first is with tears, the second is with silence, and the third is with song. When we mourn someone truly beloved, we experience all 3. Tears at first, then silence as our grief settles more deeply, and finally song as we're able to celebrate the memories we hold deep in our hearts. So today is a time for tears as we say our final goodbyes to Sylvia. We'll each remember Sylvia in our own way. Bennett, Lori and Jeffrey, Robin and John, you remember Sylvia as a loving mother. Margaret and Josh, Zach and Shira, you will all remember Sylvia as a devoted grandmother. And Sylvia was an adoring great-grandmother to Eva, Sasha, Theo, and Casey. Throughout her life, Sylvia was a dear sister and sister-in-law to Marvin and Sandy, and a caring aunt to Pam, Rick, and David. Sylvia was born here in Cleveland on August 22nd, 1924, to Jenny and Morris Drucker. Sylvia shared an extremely close relationship with her mother throughout her life. Sylvia and her younger brother Marvin grew up in Kinsman. Their father had a good business, reliable egg and poultry, and he provided well for his family even during the Depression. Sylvia recounted how her family moved several times from an apartment to a 4-family home and eventually to their own home as her father's business grew. Sylvia attended John Adams High School up until her senior year, when the family moved to Channing Road in University Heights, and Sylvia graduated from Heights High. Then Sylvia attended Flora Stone Mather College and graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology. Later, she went back to school and earned a master's degree in education. Even though times were difficult, Sylvia was proud to have a car when she went to college and a beautiful Persian lamb coat. She was also lucky to take piano lessons. Sylvia was involved in a Jewish sorority during college and kept in touch with those friends throughout her life. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, Sylvia got together with the Mather girls. One year, Sylvia's parents went on a vacation to Atlantic City and became friendly with the Hellers from Pittsburgh. So Sylvia's parents took the family to Pittsburgh to visit, and the young people fixed each other up and went out together. The next morning, Jack's mother asked him if he had a good time, and he responded, "I would have had a better time if my date was Sylvia." And the rest was history. Jack was working in Columbus, and he would drive up for weekends to visit Sylvia and her parents. They were married on January 4th, 1947 by Rabbi Cohen. Sylvia and Jack shared 67 wonderful years together. They joined Park Synagogue the year they were married and were members ever since. It was very difficult to find housing, so Sylvia and Jack first lived with Sylvia's parents. When Bennett was born 2 years later, they bought a house on Silsby. Soon Laurie and then Robin were born. Sylvia and Jack raised the girls in University Heights until they moved into their home on Green Road in Shaker in 1962, where they remained for the rest of their lives. When the girls were young, their mother did substitute teaching and wrote short stories. Sylvia sang in a group called the Mother Singers at Belvoir School. Laurie remembers how proud she was that her mom was in the choir. Sylvia played the piano beautifully and would play The Farmer in the Dell and other children's songs for the girls' birthday parties. Sylvia inspired Bennett to take piano lessons. Sylvia also took a cake decorating class and made elaborate birthday cakes with roses and edging. She even made a piano cake for Bennett's recital. It was a work of art with black licorice for the black piano keys. Sylvia loved cooking and baking. She was a pie master, making the crust by hand. Sylvia made kuchen and cinnamon rolls with yeast and maple frosting. Bennett liked to take these back to college. The girls will all have fond memories of the bowl from their mom's KitchenAid mixer, filled with rising yeast dough, covered over with a dish towel, sitting by a vent in the kitchen. Sylvia had a deep fryer and would make French fries from scratch and fried chicken. When they would go on picnics to Jogga Lake, they had all homemade food. But as handy as Sylvia was in the kitchen, she couldn't figure out how to turn on the shower in a hotel room. She had to call Jack the engineer for that. They had very clear gender roles. On Sunday mornings when Sylvia went to teach Sunday school at Park, she would leave Cheerios in a bowl with a spoon on the kitchen table for Jack. The only thing he learned to do in the kitchen was boil hot dogs for the girls' lunch and put out a couple potato sticks when Sylvia was teaching. As much as Sylvia and Jack had different domestic roles, they were intellectual equals. Sylvia loved to read and they would share books. Sylvia read the newspaper and she and Jack enjoyed going to plays and movies together. Sylvia taught part-time at Yavna and Hebrew Academy. When the girls were in junior high and high school, Sylvia started teaching English full-time at Orange High School. She took a real personal interest in her students and was the advisor for the Student Literary Magazine. Sylvia taught for 20 years and then was offered early retirement. Sylvia was worried about what she would do, but she kept busy taking classes and teaching at Tri-C. Sylvia and Jack ushered at the Playhouse and were docents at the Historical Society. And they traveled all over the world: China, Europe, Israel, South America, Russia. And they also enjoyed going on elder hostels. They bought a place in Coconut Creek, Florida, enjoyed spending a few months a year there. Sylvia got involved in all the activities offered: creative writing group, current events group, a memoir writing class. Sylvia was also a dedicated and committed Democrat. She supported Hillary in 2008, but when Barack Obama won the nomination, she became a supporter. Laurie was very surprised when she came to visit her mother and found a picture of Michelle and the girls on her mother's refrigerator. Sylvia was proud that Laurie and Jeff went to Washington for the Women's March, and Margaret took Eva and Sasha to the march in Chicago. The family all agreed on their politics. Bennett, Laurie, and Robin are very thankful to Chuck for taking such good care of their mother and father. Chuck started as their handyman and then became a personal aide for the last 6 years. Chuck cared for Jack before he passed away in 2014 and then continued to care for Sylvia. They developed a truly loving relationship. The girls called Chuck the brother they never had. Sylvia was in all her glory when all her 3 girls were together. She went into teacher mode, sharing her strong opinions on everything. Just 10 days ago, Sylvia's grandchildren and great-grandchildren were in town, and she had a wonderful visit. Her last days were filled with wonderful time with her family. And so, today may be a time for tears. We are saddened by the loss of Sylvia, but we learned so much from her, especially how to care for one another. Let these tears serve to strengthen and uphold you as a family. There's a story in our tradition about a rabbi who passed an old woman planting trees. "Old woman," he called, "why are you planting those trees? You'll never live to see them blossom." But the woman replied, "My ancestors planted trees, not for themselves but for us, that we might enjoy their shade and their fruit. I too do the same for all those who will come after me." Sylvia planted an orchard for each one of us, an orchard filled with devotion and love, and these will always be here for us. We must be grateful that we're able to share in Sylvia's life. Tomorrow there'll be fewer tears, more silence. As the Baal Shem Tov noted, it will be a time of pondering, a time for contemplation. Sylvia will become a greater part of our characters and our very beings as we integrate the memories and the values she taught us into our own selves. But finally, there'll come a time for song. The time will come we can celebrate Sylvia. We recall all that we learned from her and how she touched each of our lives. May she rest in peace. Zecher Sadik Livracha. May the memory of Sylvia Heller be a blessing. Amen. I'd now like to invite Lori and then Robin to come forward to share some personal words about their mother.
Thank you so much, Rabbi, for your kind words about my mom. So before I say anything else, well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming here to celebrate the long and very full life of Sylvia Heller. Now, this is a trigger warning because this poem I'm about to read does have political overtones. But as you heard, my mother loved to write, and she fancied herself quite a poet. And she wrote this poem in 2005, and I'd really want to share it with you because I think it kind of defines my mom. 'Twas the night of the inaugural, and all through D.C., Republicans cheered, and they chortled with glee. Their guy, good old W, had won 4 more years. At this celebration, they'd rock with their peers. The limos were lined up, all ready to go, to 9 different ballrooms, all for the big show. The minks and chinchillas were there in profusion, and diamonds and emeralds to add more illusion. For this was the night for the fat cat's big bash. All that it takes is big buckets of cash. Oil barons, lumbermen, pharmaceutical bosses, big wigs from Wall Street who suffered no losses. Then, of course, Rumsfeld, Cheney, and Rove, who still haven't found Saddam's treasure trove. Then there's Ralph Reed and Pat Robertson, too, who carry their Bibles and quote it on cue. A few token blacks and some Jews have been cited, but nary a Democrat has been invited. Kerry and Edwards will miss the festivities. They're busy honing their future proclivities. Al Franken and Mike Moore are both staying home. They won't wander near the Capitol dome. Only the protesters will be in sight to carry their placards. They're willing to fight. And what are they thinking, the great CEOs who dine upon lobster and wear Brooks Brothers clothes? They've spent $40 million for this celebration, and what does this say about our great nation? So this was just a little Sylvia Heller poetry. We saw her just last Friday, a week after she had a visit from some of her most beloved. Her grandchildren, Margaret and Josh, Zach and Shira, and her great-grandchildren, Sasha, Eva, Theo, and Casey. She was cheerful, regaling us with superlatives about all of the kids. My mom had a great life, married 67 years to the love of her life, a fulfilling career as an English teacher, a life of travel, learning, and love. But she had her disappointments. I think she imagined that my sisters and I would get married, have children, live 2 minutes away from her, and talk to her multiple times a day. That didn't happen. We had our differences. We had our arguments, hurt feelings. Bennett thinks that things began to change after 9/11, a softening tone, less arguments, more demonstrative love. All I know is the mom I had for the last few years was sweet and loving, never missing a chance to tell me how great were my husband, my children, my grandchildren, and me. We never ended a phone call without saying, "I love you." And I think I'll say for the last time, goodbye, Mom. I love you.
Thanks for coming. I'm sick, so I wasn't really going to say anything, but I really felt like I had to. I thought this was my chance to say how much I appreciated our mother. And really, I would totally agree with everything that has already been said about how my parents were both very, what was their mantra? Education, education, education. It wasn't always the kind of education that you would get, at school, at college. They would be reading all the time. They were always traveling. They were always planning their next trip. And, that was as much about education as the more formal kind. I was very proud of my mother when she went back to school to get her master's degree. It was practically before I knew what a master's degree was. But I knew she was doing something important and that she was using her mind and that she was just really interested in the world around her. I found out not too long ago that her professor had encouraged her to get a doctorate. I hadn't realized that, but I felt a little wistful when I heard that because I didn't really know if she felt it would take away from her family too much. And I kind of thought, gee, if she had really wanted to do that, I wish she had done that. But I would say on the whole, she really had the life that she wanted. She just did so much. I felt like a slacker. I mean, she was always doing things, helping people, being out in the world, and learning. She was learning up till the very end, and I'm so happy for her that she had that life. And I love her very much.
Thank you for your beautiful, touching words. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness, back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. But life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage to life everlasting. Amen. If you're able, please rise now for El Malay Rachamim.
El Malay Rachamim, Shachayna Bhamramim, Hametzemeno Chanechono, Tachat Kanefei Ashchina, במחלות קדושים ודהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מסגירים, את נשמת שפרה בת משה ושיינדל, שגלחה לעולמה, בגן עדן תחי מנוחתה. הנבא לרחמים, אז תראה בסתר כנפך לעולמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני ונחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our beloved Sylvia Heller, known in our tradition as Shifra Bat Moshe V'Shendel, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us all say,
Amen.
Amen. Please be seated for a few moments. This concludes our service here. We'll proceed from here to Beit Olam Cemetery for burial, and following burial, the family receiving visitors at Sylvia's residence, 2676 Green Road in Shaker Heights, today until 4 p.m. Thank you.